My name is Emily Teo, and today I'm going to be talking about how we can use critical optimism to help save our planet. So as a short little introduction, hi, my name is Emily Teo. I go to Jakarta Intercultural School, and I am currently a junior. And so let me start off. Who can say that they work well under pressure? Just a quick show of hands. Raise your hands if you feel like you can work well under pressure when you can see the literal seconds ticking down. So some of you guys, yeah, thank you. And I would say that I work reasonably well under pressure, but not when there is a current New York City climate clock timer going off, which lets us know how many days till the effects of climate change are irreversible. This clock was kind of set up in New York to kind of spread awareness for the environment and kind of let us know how many days till our inevitable doom. So, what might this doom look like to us, yeah? Good question. This doom could be that we don't know what blueberries are because bees have gone extinct, or that people have to start moving because there are rising tide lines. Well, this is what the climate clock is, sorry. And there are 6 years and 134 days till inevitable doom. So what might this doom look like, as I've said? Global temperatures rose, so let's look at the hard facts. Global temperatures have risen about 1 degree Celsius from 1901 to 2020. Now this might seem like a small number, but in reality, it is actually a major change in our planet. 200 million people in this world will live below the tide line by the end of the century. Sea levels have risen about 178 millimeters since 1900 and are currently rising by 3.4 millimeters per year. And the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere have risen about 25% since 1958. Crazy facts. So, some of you guys might be wondering, what can us humans kind of do since we have all these hard, cold facts and we can see that climate change is clearly everywhere. It is blasted in headlines, in social media, it's blasted everywhere. So what can we do? Our greatest superpower as humans is that we can use critical optimism to help save our planet. So before I talk about what critical optimism is, we have to talk about why being pessimistic is bad. So when we're pessimistic, we often disguise ourselves as being a realist. Being a realist about climate change means that we have accepted the irreversible damage into our planet, and there's nothing we can do about that. People end up not taking smaller steps to doing things for the planet because they have already accepted that our inevitable doom is coming and there's nothing much we can do. So that is why that being a pessimist is kind of bad when looking at the environment, because people end up forgetting to take smaller steps towards the environment. But here are the differences in pessimism and urgency. So pessimism, as I've said, unproductive, leads us to our worst case scenario. But urgency is fostered by critical optimism. And critical optimism is almost where pessimism and optimism meet, and it lets us work more productively. Sorry. So, as I've said before, critical optimism is kind of where pessimism is kind of where those two meet and we can work productively. So let me give you an example of critical optimism. So as we've all experienced in the past 2 years, we have gone through a global pandemic of COVID-19. So let me ask you guys, if before COVID-19, if you thought that we would be able to survive it. I'm pretty sure many of you guys would say no. We were given the obstacles of Zoom and kind of not being able to see each other and having to wear masks and having to face the pandemic. But since then, we have adopted to our environment and we've kind of realized that we're going to be on Zoom. We're not going to be able to see each other, and we've adopted to that environment. We've adapted as humans, and that is why we can do the exact same thing with climate change. When realizing that climate change is a real issue and there are steps that we can take to face it, I think that we can really work towards it. So, how can we apply critical optimism? Step 1 is to identify and acknowledge the current problem and situation. Same with COVID-19, as I've said, we've acknowledged that COVID-19 is happening. So now we can do the same with climate change. We understand that the climate is kind of deteriorating, but that is not the end of it. And step 2, believing that these problems can be solved through collective action and positive change. We have to understand that the small steps we take every day is actually making change towards the environment. And step 3, working towards actual change and addressing these problems. We have to work towards actual change. We can't just kind of sit around and accept that, oh, the planet is dying in 6 or whatever years that the climate clock has told us. We have to be able to kind of take change and work towards that. So we can play a bigger role by raising awareness in our community, supporting environmental efforts, and doing many of those things. So listen up. Whether you're good at facing pressure, that's what we have to do. The pressure is on. The time is clearly ticking down, but this is not the end of the Earth. Our Earth will not die in 6 or so years or whatever the climate clock says. When using critical optimism, we are able to fight climate change and hopefully have hopefully a better Earth. Thank you.